Alright, this is 8.1 functions graphs. So it's the second assignment out of 8.1, but it only deals with the graphing of functions. Alright, so number 53. I'm not going to go over the examples. If you want to see the examples for this section, look at the previous video. It's the same examples. Alright, so 52, they ask you to find f of 0 and f of 2. So you find out where x equals 0 right here, and you move up or down until you hit the function. You hit it right there at y equals 3. So f of 0 equals 3. F of 2, it's over here. So when you go up or down until you hit the function, you hit it there, and that's at negative 1. So f of 2 equals negative 1. Your input is your x-coordinate. The output is the y-coordinate. Alright, so f of negative 2, you go to negative 2 here, and you move up or down, and you hit it at 0. Right? And then f of 1, you move up or down, and you hit it at positive 2. So 0 and 2. Okay? And now this one, 57, f of 1, you move it down here, and you get negative 4. F of 2, you get negative 3. Okay, now f of 1, negative 1, you get 3. F of positive 4, you get 2. Okay, so it's just a matter of finding on the x-axis the value you want, and then moving up or down to find the y-coordinate. Alright, so now here we're going to squish this onto the x-axis or squish it onto the y-axis. So for domain, you squish it onto the x-axis, and it sticks to the x-axis at minus 2 to positive 4. And you can write it either way. And now for the range, when you squish it onto the y-axis, you hit at minus 2 and positive 2. And so there's your answer there. Okay. And now this one, your domain, notice it's going up to the left and up to the right forever. And since it's going to the left and right forever, it's going to cover the entire domain. So your domain is all real numbers. You can write minus infinity to infinity. You can write all real numbers. You can write this capital R with a double bar there. That's a mathematical symbol, which means all real numbers. And now your range, notice your range, when you squish it onto the y-axis like a pancake, it hits at minus 1 and on up to infinity. So minus 1 to infinity, or y greater than or equal to 1. 83, your domain, it goes as far left as minus 3 and far right as positive 2. And it goes as low as minus 3 and as high as positive 2. So there's your domain and range for those guys. Okay. Now this one, your domain, it's probably best to graph it when you graph that guy, but you're going to see it's a graph of the parabola, and it shoots up to the left and up to the right forever, so it's all real numbers. Determine whether the graph represents a function. If it does, identify the domain and range. So remember, draw a vertical line. If you hit it once, it's a function. So this is a function. This is a function. This one is not. It hits twice. This one is a function, this one is a function, this one is not a function. Not a function. Alright, so in this one, what's the domain and range? Well, it goes to the left and the right forever, so it's all real numbers. But it also goes up forever and down forever, so it's all real numbers. 113 is not a function, so you don't have to give its domain and range. 115 is a function, so we're going to go from left minus 4 to right positive 4. And our range goes as low as 0 and high as 4, from 0 to 4. And notice you're including both endpoints there, 0 and 4, so you put a bracket on each one. 119, is this a function? No, because you got 2 points that are right on top of each other, and so if you draw a vertical line, you hit it twice. So this one is not a function, so they don't ask you to find the domain or range. Now it says make a scatter plot of the relation after determining the appropriate value window. Well, you don't need to worry about the appropriate value window. You can find that very quickly. Okay, so hit stat 1, and now you want to go up and hit clear, come back down, go over up and hit clear and come back down. Now you're going to type in all these x values, 4, negative 2, 3, negative 3, and 5. And then you arrow to the right and type in all the y values, 3, 1, negative 3, negative 2. Alright, so you type all those in. Now you want to hit y equals, and you want to get rid of your old graph that you had in there. Now you want to arrow up to plot 1 and hit enter. So when you come back down, it should have a black box around it. Okay. So now if you hit zoom 9, it'll give you an appropriate window. Now if you want to know what that window is, just hit window. It's roughly negative 5 to positive 7 or so. And negative 5 to positive 5 is fine too. Okay. And so your calculator will pick the appropriate window for you when you hit zoom 9. Alright, so now you do this one as well. Hit stat 1, enter, and then you go up and hit clear, come back down, go over up and hit clear, come back down, and you're going to type in 20 minus 25 minus 20, 15, and then you hit 40 minus 15, 25 minus 25. Alright, and then hit zoom 9, and it gives you an automatic window there, and you can roughly say minus 30 to 25 and minus 40 to 60 or so. Okay, and that's an appropriate window. Now if you don't want to use your calculator to find your window, you just pick lower than the lowest. So for the x's, your lowest is minus 25, so let's say minus 30. And your highest is, and you want to go higher than the highest, so your highest is 20, so maybe go to 25 or 30. Now lower than the lowest for the y values, it's minus 25 would be minus 30. And the high values would be 40, so go to 45 or 50. Alright? And that'll work for you. Then 91, they want you to find the domain. Well, you're worrying about dividing by 0 here. Alright, let me focus that. Now you're worrying about dividing by 0, so you set x minus 5 equal to 0, and x cannot equal 5. So the domain is all real numbers except 5. Now 113, they ask you to find the domain of the function. Well, it's not a function. It fails the vertical line test, so you don't need to find the domain. Alright, this one represents the distance a person is from home while walking on a straight path. X is the time and y is the distance. So 0 time and 0 distance means you start out at home. And then after a certain amount of time, you're a certain distance from home. And a little bit further in time, your distance from home is 0. So you've walked someplace and then you walked back. And that's your distance there. If you want to look at this one, this is you start away from home and you're starting to walk towards home, and then you stop for a certain amount of time, and then you continue to walk to home and you finally get home. Right? And this one says find the domain. Well, do you see any fractions or square roots? I don't. So the answer is all real numbers. It's that simple. Okay. So let's look at, for example, 96, 97, and 100. All three of these have no square roots and no fractions, so all three of these are all real numbers. Now the one that they want you to look at is 95, and that one does have a square root. So you force what's underneath the square root to be greater than or equal to 0, and when you solve it, whatever answer you get, that is your domain. So your domain is 1 or larger. The reason why you have to do that is because if you pick something like 0 or negative 1, you're taking the square root of a negative number, and you can't do that in mathematics. You can't take the square root of a negative number.